Hello, and I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to start an occasional mini-series of my Mount Rushmore of rock musicians, and today it's going to be the drums and percussionists. Four musicians who I think should be having their faces carved out in rock on a fictional Mount Rushmore. Let me know if you agree with them or who you would have as your four Mount Rushmore drummers. My first one is going to be, the Abraham Lincoln, you could say, the Professor, Neil Peart. Famous for being in the band Rush. Born in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada in 1952, Neil created sonic landscapes with the use of polyrhythms over the complex time signatures of Rush. Neil joined the band in 1974 on the eve of Rush's first American tour after the original drummer John Rutsey had left, and he played on the sophomore album Fly By Night in 1975. Go and listen to Farewell to Kings in 1977 in Xanadu, and a year later Hemispheres and the track La Villa Strangiato, and of course the gloriously incredible Moving Pictures album. Neil has influenced so many drummers from Dave Grohl to Mike Portnoy, but later in life, not resting on his laurels, he went back himself to have drum lessons from a jazz drummer, Freddie Gruber, and this was because Neil had played at a tribute show for the late great jazz drummer Buddy Rich, but he felt he wasn't prepared and he wanted to learn more about jazz and swing to incorporate it in later albums of Rush. Sadly, in 2018, Neil had to retire from touring and the band because of ill health, and in 2020 he sadly passed away. But his legacy lives on through the albums and also because of the Neil Peart Scholarship, where every year the lucky recipient wins a year's worth of drum lessons and a year's subscription to a drum magazine. My second drummer percussionist to go up on Mount Rushmore is the Groove King, and I'm talking about the late great John Bonham, aka Bonzo, from the band Led Zeppelin. John would sometimes play behind the beat, and he created such a groove and platform for Led Zeppelin. Now, Led Zeppelin probably would have been a great band without him, but with him, he made them the world #1 band in the 70s that they were. When I think of drum intros, great classic drum rock intros, I think of Rock and Roll and I think of When the Levee Breaks, and both are from the seminal fourth album by the band. Born in Redditch in the West Midlands in 1948, John Bonham changed the landscape for rock drumming and has influenced so many people, probably practically all rock drummers ever since. Imagine being in 1969, putting the needle down on the debut album of Led Zeppelin and hearing John Bonham for the first time on Good Times, Bad Times. Incredible. And what was interesting about him and what gave him something different from other drummers at the time was the fact that he could tune his own drum kit. The album Presence, what an album to listen to for John Bonham's drums. He is phenomenal on every single track, and Achilles' Last Stand itself is a Mount Rushmore track for drummers, I'm sure. Sadly, in 1980, at just the age of 32, on the eve of an American tour, John Bonham passed away. But his legacy lives on and looms large, and is considered the greatest rock drummer of all time. If you go to his hometown of Redditch, there is a wonderful statue of him paid tribute right in the centre. My third choice is, this is a very personal choice because I know there are so many drummers that could have been up there on the Mount Rushmore. But like John Bonham of Led Zeppelin, this drummer is the reason why I love this band so much. And I'm talking about Ian Paice of Deep Purple. Born in Nottingham in 1948, Ian Paice was original, he was dynamic, and he was tasteful as a drummer, and he's still treading the boards with Deep Purple today. A lot of the time he played with a samba-style swing in a rock and roll context, and some say he is the forerunner to progressive metal drumming. Go listen to his crazy intro from Machine Head and the song Pictures of Home. A very inventive Deep Purple track, and it feels like the intro of the drums is like him falling down the stairs but landing on his feet. As he said in an interview some time ago, he was trying to fool the listener with sleight of hand about what the tempo was. Also, Mark III's and the album Burn, and there's a track called You Fool No One. It is so funky. Ian Paice could play so many different styles with ease, and still today he does. He is the only original member of Deep Purple, playing from Marks 1 up until Mark 9, which is still going today. He has influenced so many drummers, from Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers to Lars Ulrich from Metallica. Ian Paice, for me, deserves to be up on the Mount Rushmore of rock drummers. Let me know in the comments, if you've got this far in the video, what you think of my choices and what your choices would be too. My fourth and last person to go up onto that hallowed Mount Rushmore of drummers is the unpredictable, the eccentric, the original and unpredictable Keith Moon of The Who. He didn't play, I'm sure drummers can tell me this, but he didn't play to any kind of rudimentaries. He just played what he felt. He would just do crazy patterns. He wouldn't do anything normal. His timekeeping in the early days were all over the place, as John Entwistle, the bass player of The Who, would say. But he said it created some original sounds. He was a maverick. He, like John Bonham, has influenced practically everybody since. Go listen to Who Are You and Won't Get Fooled Again. The album Who's Next 1971, Keith Moon started to get a little bit more disciplined in the studio because he had to play along to synth tracks. Probably his greatest drumming moments are on that album. Sadly, in 1978, Keith Moon passed away at only the age of 32, the same age as John Bonham did 2 years later, to the same month. The two greatest rock drummers of all time passing away with two years apart. The 70s were blessed with the greatest music, not just rock, metal, but funk, jazz. The 1970s is a time I just will not be beaten, and Keith Moon is there as one of those mavericks that I always found it strange that The Who carried on after him. How can you replace, like John Bonham, Led Zeppelin didn't replace John Bonham. They had a couple of reunions, but they didn't release any music, they haven't toured. And how can you replace Keith Moon? And it shows in hindsight that you can't. Okay, as a bonus Easter egg, which I will put into some of my videos every now and then, if you get to the end of my videos or the middle of my videos, and let's face it, probably won't, I wouldn't, I'd probably click off me as well. But I'm going to take a bit of artistic license with my Mount Rushmore of drummers. The front cover of Deep Purple's classic 1970 album In Rock has the 5 members carved out on Mount Rushmore. So if we think if we could add a 5th drummer to it, who should we add? There are so many. Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden, Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge, Carl Palmer. Where do you go? But I'm going to go with Stuart Copeland from The Police. He was pretty special. Hey, thank you so much if you managed to get to the end of this video. I hope you like my choices for my Mount Rushmore of drummers. Let me know yours. And if you could please like and subscribe, it would help the channel grow. And hopefully see you again soon.